Hello, folks. Welcome to the housecoat chat. It's another practice session. I have obviously failed to hook up my sound, daydreaming, and trying out things, folks. Yes, welcome to the housecoat chat. I am sorry for the funny little intro here of me doing some stuff that are still technical, getting everything lined up here. Yes, the house coat chat, folks. I know the lighting in here isn't the greatest, and that's a chalkboard. And for you, folks, I love you. And there's a cloud and the dude in the house coat painting. I just want to let you all know, as a general human being, all of you and positive vibes to everyone. All right, you are decent or you're not, and I believe my audience is of the decent kind. I know that nobody's really learning or watching my channel at the moment, but I am hoping that this will hopefully become a thing, and you come and you sit down in your house coat, just like me in a house coat, and you enjoy whatever I may have to say or discuss while we slurp a beverage. Read the cup, folks. Yes, this is live. I hate it to say this for my 51 years of living, being sort of a technological junkie, especially back in the day when I was a lot younger. I didn't realize that I could just like that go live on YouTube with just YouTube. I was using Clipchamp and uploading videos, and they were taking for a half hour video almost 12 hours to upload. I have Wi-Fi. I'm in the basement, so the upload speed to the router is not the greatest, or whatever you want to say on that. I know, people like these 15-second sound bites, and they just want to have their information like this. But guess what, folks? This is the house. This is the house coat chat. Could be a rant coming up. Could be anything else, but it's mostly a discussion. I am not going to try and bring you the latest, greatest, and fastest news to you. All I'm going to give you, hopefully, when you catch my show, is that the things that have happened in the last few days are going to be rehashed a bit, and I'm going to make you think on things that have happened. That's all this show is it's going to be for, because honestly, if you're going to be taking your news from me, a dude in a house coat with a ponytail and big eyebrows, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to say, all I will tell you is that I am not trying to be the pleb. I'm not trying to be CBC News. I'm not trying to be uh, Joe Rogan, Jeremy McKenzie. I'm not trying to be Rachel Gilmore. I'm not trying to be Mr. Faulkner or, the guy from True North News, the other fellow there, or whoever all is out there. I'm just going to try and be me and who I am and how I want to do things, because this is my show, the dude in the house coat. So, whatever it is that you have out there going on in your lives or whatever, even if you just want to listen to the audio of this, just put it on and all that and just listen to what I have to say, that is fine. Because what I will tell you is I am not going to get all technical and fancy and bring up images like, you see the farm protest in Germany? Guess what, folks? There is a farm protest in Germany, and now Belgium's in it, Lithuania, Poland, France, a host of other countries are all in on it. All you need to do is go and look for yourself. And that means you may need to get off of mainstream media. Yes, folks, you're going to have to get off mainstream media. You're going to have to find a way to look this stuff up without believing everything that comes out of the mouths of our politicians and news people. These people are working hand in glove. They are like this now, folks. They are like this. That is the best way to put it. They are like that. They are holding each other's hands by the forearm. That's how much both of them need each other, the government and mainstream media. The government is losing its message and its people, and mainstream media is losing its people and losing advertising dollars because people don't watch it anymore. So the government stepped in, and now we have state controlled and sponsored media in Canada. It is no longer free of independent thinking of any kind. You just have to see it plain as day as who the CBC puts on their display for any topic that is of whatever it is that they talk about. If you cannot see the manipulation, the wool pulling over your eyes, the deflections, the 15-second sound bites, if you don't see that and realize you're not being informed properly, then you're on the right channel. This is the channel for you. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to regurgitate talking points like I for as good of a job that she does. I'm not going to try and knock down this woman as much as I would like to. But guess what, folks? Rachel Gilmore is a rinse and repeat reporter. That's as simple as it. Simple, as simple as simple. I also noticed something here, folks. As I was trying to set up my show, guess what I kind of forgot to do? I forgot to set up another set of lights. So let's get those lights on, shall we? I know. This is live. But guess what? Bear with me. Ah, bear with me. This is going to be going off a little worse than my first attempt on Practice 3 live on YouTube. Yes, all these political people. There we go. We got the lights going now, folks. All these political people, all these people in ivory towers, those that sit on the board of directors and above that are influencing our daily lives to show that we know less and less, right? I mean, that's the way they like it. 15-second sound bites. I mean, if you could go back to the beginning of the month, can you honestly tell me everything that's wildly happened that you can recall? Most of you probably can, but some of you are going to go and you're going to think. And you know why you're going to think that way? Is because every 15-second soundbite that you got has gone right through you. Yes, you absorbed it. Yes, America may attack Iran. Blah, blah, blah. 15-second soundbite, right? Oh, yes. Who's going to implement a treaty? 15-second soundbite. But did they go beyond that? No, they did not. So you're left with these little things that are filling your brain, but they filter out because there's a bombardment of 15-second stuff coming your way. Always 15 seconds. We have become attention deficit society. We have the phones, iPads. Yes, this thing here. I don't have my phone close by. I'm rarely with my phone. I am hard of hearing, but that's besides the point. But I am rarely with my phone. I am not one to be attached to it because before cell phones became a thing, I used to take my phone, which was always like a mobile, cordless phone, whatever you want to call it, right? And I would put them far enough away from my living room when I was watching a movie because I didn't want to be interrupted watching a movie because I want to escape from reality. So if I'm sitting in a bit of a darkened room with a big screen in front of me at that time, it was 27 inches, folks. 27-inch TV was a pretty big size. Now I'm a proud owner of a 65-inch mega screen that tilts out so we can both watch on the kitchen table. I know. Hey, society's gone crazy and everything is supposedly better. But I will go back to the year 2000. Thank you. I will go back to the year 1980. Thank you to replace what is currently going on. I mean, just like listening to Chris Sky earlier, a shout out to Chris Sky. I really wish you were the mayor of Toronto. I really wish you could have won that one, but sadly it did not happen. But Chris Sky asked a simple question because he said Canada is a shithole. Well, you know what? Chris Guy's choice of words may be a bit extreme, but he's not far off the mark. If you can go back 20 years, those of you that can remember 20 years ago, and stuff is we had more money, we had more purchasing power, we had cheaper taxes, excuse me, we had less wars in the year 2000, and we didn't have all the craziness that's going on. 1980, we didn't even have the internet. Right? We played until the street lights came on, and then now was time to come home. Now kids are not allowed out of the house unless they're bubble wrapped and have a GPS tracker embedded in their skin, right? And they also have every kind of shot that's imaginable. That's what it's like. But this 15-second sound bites and everything else is just crazy. That is what I say. And it's just a simple thing is we need more information. Since I'm an old fuddy-duddy, 51 years of old, yes, 51 years of old, I remember when the news came on at certain times of the day, and almost every adult would be glued to the screen for approximately a half an hour minimum to the whole hour, right? We had a 5 o'clock news or a 6 o'clock news, right? They're either hour, depending on your network, all those things. And they were kind of informative. And the one thing that I really liked about the CBC in a way is that all three parties at that time, Progressive, Liberal, and NDP, the three big parties of Canada, all had a voice on CBC. Now, the ruling party basically got the majority of the airtime, but the opposition parties got their airtimes as well. Now you have nothing but liberal, and I don't really want to use the word propaganda, but that's the word I'm going to use because it best fits the message that the Liberal Party is trying to give all of Canada, right? Just look at the recent release this weekend in the news. They are thinking of renaming the carbon tax because they hear that it's too confusing for Canadians. Here's the reality of the situation. The carbon tax thing that the Liberals are talking about is really simply put a questionnaire that they handed out for people to fill in answers that they wanted, basically. I just filled out a Liberal survey and I had to choose others as a option for whatever question they had. Why? Because all the answers that they were giving me were tied to the talking points of climate change, this, gender, this, whatever it may be. But I had to choose other quite frequently to get my point across. Just like when they asked me for who I was as a human, right? How do you identify yourself? I chose other. I could have chose Caucasian. I think Caucasian was the thing in there, male, Caucasian. I chose other. And this is what I said. I am a disgruntled taxpayer. And I think most of you feel the same way of the words I just said. Disgruntled taxpayer. Yes, disgruntled. And why am I disgruntled? Because my money isn't going anywhere good. It isn't. According to the CTV News, only 40 million has been embezzled by Ukraine. Now, is that only 40 million of Canadian dollars that we've given them? I don't remember exactly how many billions we've given Ukraine, but the number is up there. That number could have probably fixed some homeless crisis in Canada if we spent the money in Canada. And that brings me to this other little sad point of all this stuff that's going on and I'm talking about, and it's a side note, sidebar, whatever you want to call it, because I'm trying to say that 15 seconds sucks and you need to listen longer. Yes, 15 seconds suck. But let's get right down to what I wanted to talk about here. And that is I lost my train of thought and I wish I could hit rewind. But, like I said, I am practicing. And I'm gonna hopefully get better. And I hopefully won't be making the same kind of screw up I did earlier by not properly setting up before I hit the live button. I apologize for that if anybody's actually listening or watching. But these 15-second sound bites, folks, and all these things that the government is trying to do, like the election changes, which I will get to a minute because I'm trying to get back to the thought that I had in my head. It's all this stuff that's going on. And I really wish I could hit rewind. Getting a little older is not something that I shouldn't say I'm not looking forward to it, but I am now starting to see the things that I used to joke about when I saw people my age when I was younger. Oh my goodness, where is I? What was I thinking of that? Oh, well, guess what? We will just forget all about that. My apologies if you were tuned in and totally into the story, which I highly doubt, because I really don't think there's anybody watching at the moment. Just me, myself, and I. And after I'm done recording this, and it goes out there, hopefully other people will watch it too. I do like to talk, and I will try and get back to it. But let's get back to the election thing because that is something that I want to bring up. If the ruling party of Canada is the Liberal Party, and they've been in power for 3 elections now, and each time they won, they were a minority government. Do you think a minority government with the least amount of will from the people wanting it to run really want to have an election change? Like, any kind of election reform? And should a losing party, such as the Liberal Party, with the NDP, which is totally a loser party, and I'm not a progressive or a Bernie bro. I'm independent libertarian in most of my voting. I vote for the person that best represents my viewpoints and where I am at whatever current level of time or whatever, right at the moment. Whoever is the best candidate at the moment. But our election laws, they want to change it, make it better, so to speak, by expanding the number of days to vote, by bringing in more mail in ballots, by allowing you to vote anywhere in your riding. Now, in my town of Vanderhoop, I think there's only one, maybe 2 places. There might be a polling booth outside the town, like in Mapes area or Fort Fraser way. But I do know that whoever votes, you vote in your riding. I'm not in Toronto or Calgary, where there's a lot more people in a riding. So those polling stations or whatever. What I don't like that all of this is going on is the fact that while we have all our election like issues in Canada, last election, folks, 200,000 votes were not counted from the Western provinces, Northwest Territories, Yukon, and such. 200,000 votes. Now, would have it made much of a difference? We will never know, but that's 200,000 voices, folks. 200,000 voices. So that's almost 2.5 times roughly the population of Prince George. So the largest city close to me, Prince George, British Columbia. So those things, they may want to make these changes. But in Argentina, their election was done in one day, the whole country. Taiwan, election, voting tallied all day, one day, paper ballots, and everybody could watch the ballots being counted. Beautiful system. Now let's go back to 2020 on the US side, especially. We had a holy smokes, there's all sorts of stuff. I'm not really gonna get into it because, apparently, whatever. But I will say this, there must have been a lot of shenanigans. Now, I'm not saying Joe Biden is responsible for the election interference, but how do you get 81 million votes as the president of the United States, considering the most popular president to ever get the most votes basically is Barack Obama? How does a old senile white man get more votes than a Barack, right? More votes than Barack. That's truly amazing. But enough of that election shenanigans. Let's get back to Canadian election. Why are we going to allow our government and a, a minority government to try and influence and change the elections to their benefit? Because that is ultimately what this is coming down to. Is if you have a 3-day window to vote in, just think honestly, you already know which candidate's in the lead. So if it's a 3-day voting window, and us as citizens who our paper ballot is supposed to be the most important thing of our own personal power for governance, of which way it should go, it should count, right? Well, a 3-day window, you allow anybody to vote anywhere on the riding, you allow anybody to do mail in balloting, you're creating a host of problems. It should be simple. And listen to me, folks, when I say this. All you need is really 4 people. 4. We'll just say 2 liberals, 2 conservatives. Simple, okay? Let's not worry about the other party. 2 liberals count the pile. 2 conservatives count the pile. They say 48 conservative votes, 52 liberal votes. The other guys say we had 66 liberal votes and we had 88 conservative. they would flip. They would both go through it. If the numbers are correct, then they can both sign off. If there is a discrepancy, they go through those piles again until they get the correct tally. All four are in agreement. If you allow electronic voting and you didn't exactly vote the way you should have voted on that paper, and by voting a certain way, I mean actually filling in the box correctly, however they intended you to, with a Sharpie, with a pencil, red ink, blue ink, green ink, it don't matter. But whatever you have to use to mark on your ballot, and if you somehow use the wrong thing or scratched outside the box or do anything that accidentally marks up that ballot, it goes to an adjudicator. An adjudicator will try and determine how you voted from your electronic vote. So you have somebody in the way of a machine that is going to determine the way you vote because the machine couldn't figure out which way you voted. Now I've have lots of time on my hands, and I can honestly tell you from the hanging Chad ballots of the Al Gore George Bush voting thing in 2000 to the crap that we have today, because I honestly don't have a better word for it. Crap is we just need it simple. How hard, honestly, is it to be simple? Why do we need to make things more complicated than it really is? The only answer is to reason to make things more complicated is to cover up things. Honestly. Yes, paper ballots are corruption as well. Yes, there's been plenty of shenanigans in paper ballots. But if you can be simple, simple is folks, and I'm just going to use this. This is a piece of paper, and I know it's got a poppy symbol on it. My lovely Diggle, wife, girlfriend, lover, everything in between, all those things and above. Yeah, she was making beaded poppies, and they are absolutely nice and good looking. And they take a lot of effort, just like the paintings and the things she has done for me. They take time and effort. But this piece of paper is simple. There's nothing complicated about it, right? You can see it. It's got one side, it's got two sides, and you can look at it and decide for yourself if that was a ballot, whether it's good or not, and who we voted for. Now, this is your voting machine. You hit a button and it says you voted a certain way, but what's going on inside it, right? Look at that. I mean, this is just an example. This is connected. So they say those machines aren't connected, those Dominion voting machines. They're connected. All right. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. They are just connected. And yes, what else are we going to do? I think as people, Todd Doherty is my MP, and I will be writing him a letter. And hopefully, I will display that letter on X, just so that people know that I sent a letter to Todd Doherty. I'll probably send him a post as well, whatever. But the point is that contact your MPs, contact them, and contact Elections Canada, and get them to stop the shenanigans before next election. That is right, folks. We need to stop whatever the fear that they have. If you don't sense it in yourself that things are shifting, things are going for the better as people, I mean, just inside, not your financial health, your job status, nothing else. But if you feel that there's something changing, and it is, folks, if the vibrations, energy levels, whatever you want to call it, there is something amiss. There is something amiss in this world. And if you could grab it, latch onto it, and ride the lightning like I am, so to speak, by being a voice here on X, or I mean YouTube and stuff, it is what it is. I only say these things because I need to help you, my fellow human being, my fellow decent person. I don't care your religion, creed, sexual orientation, the color of your skin, whether you're indigenous or not, whether you have mental disabilities or a handicap. Shout out to all those with the extra chromosome. You are rocking it. That is what I have to say for those people. But yes, there is an energy shift, folks. and we need to go and grab it and try and use it to our advantage. We have and always will have control. We just let go of it. We need to bring it back. We need to pull that back, folks. And if that means a few people in the ivory towers need to fall, maybe the likes of Bill Gates, Carl Schwab, or Gerald Butts out of the Lauraton elite, whatever you want to call them in Canada. Yes, yes, yes. Well, folks, I have spoken a lot about election things, and I know I talk a lot, and I hope you listen, and maybe you tune me out, or you're still here. If you're still here, we're going to change the subject to maid. Yes, maid. And why maid? Well, it's really simple. Maid, it's a problem now. It wasn't a problem before. And to bring it back into perspective, when the law was first made for maid, legal scholars warned the government you're opening up a can of worms by making the assisted dying law, in the wording that you use, open for interpretation and abuse. I don't like the word abuse for this, but that is the word. And what the problem is now we are expanding it to people with mental illnesses. If you're depressed, I'll admit it, I got depression issues. I get depressed. I've had it lots, plenty, whatever it is. If you're depressed, the last thing anybody should ever tell you is, would you like to die? If you're depressed, you're the one that's screaming, I want to die. This world sucks. It's cruel, right? That's what I mean. But they're asking you. It should be you, the person suffering from your illness and depression, whatever, that you want to die. It shouldn't be the health professionals coming to you after you say those words. Well, when would you like to book an appointment for me? It's gone to the point where it's youth. Now, as a parent, I am not officially a biological creating person that created another life from my loins, from my seed. My boy came to me when he was 13, and he's an adult now in his early 30s, and he is a parent himself. And if he were to be asked these questions, he would probably tell you, no child of mine will die this way. And that's what I imagine he'd say. I'd have to phone him up right now and ask him. I'm not going to do that. And I already know the answer. He would not want his children. No parent wants your child to die, especially by a thing such as assisted suicide or depression. The other thing, and they argued is like the youth stuff. Well, yeah, maybe some youth don't have parents because of an accident. They have no family, and yeah, I mean, made, well, then I guess that person can make the choice for themselves, right? It's still a touchy subject. Youth and the people with mental illnesses should not be on the list at all. Youth, especially. And they shouldn't, anybody with a mental illness, no. Where's the Hippocratic oath of helping people? The government says it's saving them money. Wow, saving them money, folks. They're killing off the local population, basically people that are Canadians, and we have a million newcomers coming a year. Do you think that any of those people within the 10 years that have been here, since 10 years, or since the time Maid's been here, that people that have emigrated to Canada, do you think any of them have used Maid? I don't think many have. But what we were told in a committee meeting, we were told. What I listened to in a committee meeting on CPAC, yes, a channel you all should watch on occasion just to catch something that'll blow your mind. The person that is on the committee for MAID has said that people who mostly use MAID are white and affluent and educated. It's still life, right? It's still life. The thing that, you know, it's still life. The thing that it should not be is for people to find an easy way out. That way. It also should not be a way for the government to back out of helping people that are ill, that can't afford to go to the United States or Europe or elsewhere to get medical help that they need because our government chooses not to. It's as simple as that. Like, look at all the people that they're clamoring for in healthcare, but they won't hire the unvaxxed back or bring in the people that are here from other countries that have tickets to be a nurse, maybe a doctor, or an engineer, right? Those things. Hire the unvaxxed back. Stop wasting our money. Help people. Our money keeps leaving the country. If I could get that figure of how much money of our tax dollars goes out of our country, I think you and I both will have our mind blown. And if you were to take that money that's leaving the country and apply it to a couple of areas like healthcare and homelessness, just those two areas, I'm sure we can fix a lot. But MAID is horrible, folks. It is horrible in its current form. The lawmakers that warned, the lawmakers, by that I mean lawyers, legal advice, people that were tall foreheads, right? You know, the Jordan Peterson type, whatever. These people were saying that you're going to have a problem down the road because of the way you worded the law. And here we are today. Yes, your child uh, can go and get assisted suicide after five, one, two, three, 4, 5 weeks of depression and get assisted suicide. You tell me any teenager right now that hasn't suffered through some form of depression for 5 weeks or longer or shorter. Name one teenager that never had that. Name one. I'm pretty sure Justin Trudeau had a few days that were sad back in the day. I'm sure everybody else did. You know, it is a sad and despicable thing made, and I am up in my arms and up in arms about it, and I don't like it, and I raise my voice on it as much as I can. I am not a perfect person. I mean, I am not the guy that's out there pounding the pavement every day, but I don't like MAID in its current form, and I've already let several members of government know of that. It is up to you. Take a time. You're in a housecoat right now. Are you drinking a coffee like me? Even though it is almost like 6:30 in the evening and I really shouldn't have coffee, but here I am having coffee. Take a few minutes, Google your person of parliament. Mine is Todd Doherty. I have all his information, his mailing address, his email address, his phone number. I could do all of those things if I want to, but a letter is going to be meant for Todd. I will also, because of this election stuff, be writing to my MP again. I'll be writing to Elections Canada, and I will be contacting people in the Liberal and NDP party that are involved in drafting this so called legislation that they want to try and pass in the House of Commons. And folks, I think you should too. I honestly think, and please remember what I'm about to say here, contact your MP, contact the MPs that are Liberal and NDP that are sitting on this election reform thing. Their names are out there. I will hopefully have those names next show if I continue on with this election stuff. I am, like I said, practicing and ideas come into my head as I talk. I will try and make sure that when these signs are kind of down, like you could kind of see Doom and YouTube on there, that is meant for Mr. or 666 Mr. Doom. YouTube is a music channel of, I like it, all sorts of metal bands that I've never heard of all around the world. So, write your MPs. We need to get a hold of the Liberals, the NDP that are on that committee, heck, even Justin Trudeau, and Elections Canada. We need to make them understand that we don't want changes. We don't. Do you want changes? I'll tell you what changes I want. It's the paper ballot idea. Just like Taiwan, Argentina, Florida finished their elections all in one day, folks. Done. There's no need to count for weeks on end, right? All the rabbit holes that I went down to for the last American election, I can't get over the bullshit. And I will use that word, BS, folks. It was. Our elections used to mean something. Now they have been taken away from us, and we are only given a selection, right? Just think about who is left in the United States presidential race on the Republican side. Just who thinks it's Joe Biden's replacement? They don't have a replacement for him. I mean, I think something might happen down the road, but you think with the I mean, the Democratic Party would want to replace Joe Biden. I would. I mean, I think they are much more wanting to chair. People really want to get rid of Biden to have somebody else like Gavin Newsom in his place, right? Look at Canada. We want Trudeau gone. I honestly think so. And because this is my YouTube channel and you may be watching, like, subscribe, and leave a comment, folks. Agree, disagree, whatever you want. Please fill me in. If there's something that you think that I was misinformed on, leave it in the comments. Check it out. I'm only here because I like talking and I like to share what I learned. I'm not going to try and be the Mr. Proof It. I'm not going to try and prove stuff by putting it up on the screen for you. That is not my intention. This is an opinionated show, which means these are my opinions. And the facts and stuff that I state are information that I've gathered that I deem to be truthful in my eyes. And generally, I would say probably 99.9%, and I'm leaving 0.1%, whatever I'm trying to say is I will never intentionally lie to you on anything that is given to me because I have no masters above me at this moment. I mean, YouTube, sure, Rumble, whoever else, X, whoever decides to take my video down. If they do, that's their business. But for me to you, I am not going to intentionally lie to you. I don't have Judas's money from the federal government. I don't. I will never, hopefully, accept any of that kind of money. The only way that I will accept any kind of money from the government to help me out if I'm doing this podcast is to help this channel grow without the strings attached from the government saying I have to toe the line, right? I am going to be exploring those avenues. As you can see, this is not a bad little backdrop behind me. It's colorful, lit up, and yeah, I'm a Flames fan. I got the F Trudeau flag, right? Because, well, we need to get that guy out of office. Is PP the guy? Don't know. Do I hope it changes under PP? Yes. I think it's the last election of real consequences for Canada. After that, I don't know what the future holds. Hopefully, not a revolution, but betterment for Canadians and a country. Yes, I hope betterment for ourselves. Yes, I do. Maid sucks, folks. If you are a parent and you just found out that your child can actually do these things without your consent, contact your MP, contact Justin Trudeau's office, contact Health Canada, contact them. Are you still in a house coat? Are you listening to me? You having your tea? You having your coffee? You doing whatever? Take a few minutes and do it. Google the name. You have a pen and paper, even just email it. Do whatever it is, even post it. Go to Twitter, find his X, whatever the X account, whatever you need to do. Let them know. The more of us that pipe up and say enough is enough on everything from the carbon tax to maid to reform, yes, enough is enough. We need better and we want better, right? The positive vibe that you are feeling, the vibrations in the air that is going up and seems to be rising, that is a sign that you need to do something. If you feel a bit buzzed, it is because your body, your soul, your intuition is telling you to do something. That's why I'm kind of speaking right now, because my voice needs to get out there because something is pushing me inside to say that, hey, hello, hi, wake up, right? Knock on the window, like, let's open up our eyes. Things are changing rapidly, and we need to stop whatever descent that we are on. I mean, I'm 51 years old, folks. I have lived through Pierre Elliott Trudeau as a child. I am now suffering under Justin Trudeau and the death cult of the Liberal Party. And I don't mind using that word death cult when I refer to the Liberal Party because it is the death of Canada that the Liberals are still in power. You cannot run a country by massively importing people and drastically changing the fabric of the nation and ripping that fabric, ripping it. 'Cause that's what it feels like it's in Canada with all the excess immigration of low skilled workers, the people that are out on the streets that are forced out of apartments because somehow somebody else is moving in that's willing to pay more rent. It's a vicious cycle. There are people that are homeless that are clean, decent people. And by clean, I mean drug free. They don't have issues mentally, drug issues, whatever. They just ended up on hard times, whether it was poor choices by buying something too big for their britches, whatever. But they're now homeless, living in a tent, going to work, while a newcomer who just basically came here is living in a hotel, getting 3 square meals a day, and yet some of these guys have complained. Go back home then. Go back to wherever you came from. If you come to this country and you've been given a place to sleep, a place to eat 3 times a day, some clothes, and you complain, go back home. Home, please. We don't want you then. You obviously are being a leech on our society, and it doesn't need to happen. And on the flip side of that, the doctor that came here that's been waiting 6 months or more to practice his doctoring, or the nurse or the engineer or whoever it may be that's got tickets and relevance to help society in our country, they need to get boosted fast, right? If you're a newcomer here and you break the law, you should go home after you've done your time here. You go home. Now, if you've been here a while, well, okay, you may get to stay after you commit a crime. But if you're fairly new, fresh off the boat, and you're already starting a life of crime in Canada, detention, lock up, get your 4x6 cell, get your 3 square meals a day, your orange coveralls, and then when you're done, you got a plane ticket back to your country of origin that you arrived from, whatever. Make it simple, right? All this stuff that's going on is ripping our fabric apart of the society. Look at the RCMP, folks, the once proud, mighty RCMP. I don't know where my hat is at the moment, but I do have an RCMP hat, folks, and it is close by, but I won't get it right now. The point is, from the time of Sam Steele to the time of Brenda Lucky, things have eroded to the point that it's disgusting, it's idiotic, it's banana republicish, it is so dictatorial, right? The RCMP, if it found out that there was wrongdoing by the government, they investigated and charged whoever. Now they're being stonewalled by the government, and there's nobody there with the resolve of Sam Steele type to go and bust the doors down of our government and says, give us the information now, or we're going to come by force and take it, right? But that's what's missing, the accountability part. There is no more accountability in our government. Look at Trudeau, how many ethnic violations he's had. He went on another free vacation. If the guy is worth millions, I guess the only reason he is a millionaire is because he's not spending his own money, just like his father. Apparently, his father used to walk out of restaurants before it was time to pay the bill because he did not want to pay the bill. To me, folks, that is liberalism in a nutshell. Why should I use my money when I have other people's money to play with? Right? That is the liberal way. And something that I found rather interesting from listening to the Tucker Carlson interviews in Calgary and Edmonton is from Jordan Peterson stating that he had supper with Pierre Poilievre and his wife, and the one he can tell you that strikes him differently than from the likes of Trudeau is Pierre realizes it's not his money to spend, our money. Trudeau, his money, right? Why do you think all those billions and billions of dollars were printed for this country to run? Because he thought it was that simple to fix. He thought everything is fixed by money. I guess did that work with the NDA? I mean, I'm a touchy subject there, but 3.5 something million. I mean, whatever that story may be regarding that young student that he may or may not have had a bad teaching experience with. To play with words. You know what I'm talking about. He must think it's easy to spend other people's money. He's worth money in the millions. He got his payout from his trust fund at 45, folks. All that money that Pierre Elliott Trudeau left him, it's all free for him to spend, but he's not. He's spending our money. He goes to Jamaica. Now, he said the vacation was paid for by a friend, but the security detail, the equipment to fly the planes and the cars and everything else that goes along with it has to be paid for by us taxpayers. The only time I kind of wish I could have been an RCMP officer is so that I could go on vacation with the Prime Minister in a nice location. I tried. I wanted to be a police officer, but you know what they said? My disability will be in the way. And you know what? To be fair, I can see it. I can see them being honest on it. But at the same token, today, look who they're inviting. Big difference. People from outside the country now can be an RCMP officer, but I can't because I'm hearing impaired. Ask yourself, if you were being in trouble, would you rather have a Canadian or somebody from outside the country wanting to be a Mountie because he has the privilege because we are looking for Mounties, and the only way we can get Mounties is by actually hiring from outside the country. Just like in LA, anybody now can become a police officer. Anybody in LA. Just think of all the gangs and everything else like MS-13 and a host of others. Same with the Canadian, right? I mean, what kind of people do we have in our RCMP right now? Do we have Chinese infiltrated spies, CCP? Do we have any Palestinian supporters, from India that are RCMP officers now that are quietly, gathering information on, people they're looking for in Canada because they're in the RCMP now, so they got full access to everything. I mean, our whole way of governance, RCMP, you name it, CSIS, everything is corrupt. I recently posted on Twitter when somebody says we need to get rid of all 338 members of parliament. And I says we need to go a step further. We need to get rid of all the extra bureaucrats, all the top line employees, the RCMP, and CSIS, and the consultants, all of it. Start from scratch. The only way you're going to try and root out the corruption and everything else, folks, is starting from scratch. It is too embedded, our culture of governance right now, regarding the money that flows in and flows out. The vaccine injury program by the federal government is not just for COVID, it's for all vaccines, flu shots, whatever. Everything that the child gets from when it's born in utero. Wow, I never realized that you actually gave the vaccines while the baby's still inside you, to like a lot of them, right? So there's a lot of vaccines, and there's a vaccine injury support program. Now it has a big budget, it's in the millions. And can you guess how much the operating cost of that program? The operating cost is 60% of the funding. So 40% goes to the actual victims of a vaccine injury, whether it was a flu shot or it was for polio, whatever it was, or even COVID. A few people have now claimed it for COVID. Hopefully, Sean Hartman wins his trial soon. Dan Hartman's son. But yes, all that money, 60% of it goes to the staff and consulting. Why do they need consulting? Why does our federal government need so much consulting? $1.7 billion of our Canadian money this year alone, like 2022 to 2023, was 1.7 billion. I might give or take, whatever. The number is there. It is high. Why does our federal government need to spend more on consulting than I almost think they do on our whole military budget? Wake up. Let them know. All that consulting. Look at the Arrive Scam app. Scam. The Arrive can scam. Two guys pocketed $11 million before they transferred it out to other people. They were asked in that boring CPAC channel, but you all should watch it. If you don't want to watch CPAC, watch this guy's garage because he highlights all the important stuff. This guy's garage, awesome channel, folks. Awesome. But CPAC, nonetheless, all this money is just flying out the door, and none of them can answer a question. None of them can give you the truth. And the people that spoke out about stuff that's going on are now under investigation and denied any kind of legal representation from the Canadian government because they dare spoke out about the corruption. And now they are in legal limbo. And a shout out to those two. Yes, thank you. You guys are heroes. I wish I could do more for you other than speak up. Oh, yes, folks, it's almost an hour. I yacked. I apologize for the beginning, how I started. Yes, goof, 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 but I had a lot on my mind. Heck, I didn't even, have any kind of whatever thing to go other than the need to say what I wanted to say during this hour. I really do hope you kind of enjoyed what I'm doing. There will be more things down the road. I will try and expand on, trying to do maybe an hour thing that I can talk and maybe ramble on. I will have some short stuff. I will hopefully have some humor, some laughs, and stuff like that because it's not all doom and gloom. I want things to be a bit positive and, like let's get it done. There are too many people out there that yell and scream and want to use anger, and I want to try and avoid that. And all I want to remind you that there are two kinds of people in this world: you're decent or you're not. All right. I do not care of your race, color, religion, sexuality. Only honest thing that I can tell you that I can draw a line at is children do not hurt children. Plain as day. Children are children. They do need discipline, yes, but that is not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about is the people need to have their pleasures from children. That's it. You are nay nay, no no, off planet. That is the only type of people that I do not like. Okay? Simple. You can be black, transsexual, conservative, vegan, I don't know, whatever else, the whole ball of wax. And you're decent. If you're decent, I'll listen to you. That's as simple as it is. You know, if you're a jerk, I won't listen to you. And it won't matter about everything I just rambled on about the black transsexual vegan that likes to shoot guns, right? You are who you are, and you're either decent or you're not. So, having said that, all that, and everything else that I've said, because I enjoy talking, I'm hoping that you will try and come along for the ride as I talk, because there's too many things like 15-second sound bites, and they rapid fire off their information, and you go on about your day, and you get enough of these. 3 days later, you forgot all about the original 15-second thing that caught your attention. I hopefully, because of my show, will be rambling on about stuff that's happened over the last few days that maybe says, hey guys, look at this. Maybe we need to do more. Maybe we need to pipe up. Maybe we need to mail a letter. Maybe we need to visit the MP. Maybe we need to contact the Legal Society of Canada, right? Whatever it may be, do it politely. Yes, politely, folks. Do it bluntly. And by bluntly, stating your stuff and telling them your facts. Keep feelings out of it as much as you can and tell them you don't like it. For example, mass immigration. Dear Todd Doherty, this mass immigration is causing problems in this country. I am not against immigration. but at the current levels and the things that I see it causing in this country, such as people being pushed out of their homes to make room for new people, the homeless shelters that are expanding beyond belief, people living on the streets, you name it, whatever it may be, blunt, polite, and to the point. Don't threaten, don't call them idiots, don't do any of those things except for Trudeau, Pablo, whatever. I'm kidding. Anyways, be respectful and to the point and blunt, and thank them for their time in reading it. You may find that a little honey goes a long way. Now, having said that, and everything that I've said, if things do not improve at this country, I guess it's pitchforks and torches, right? We're going to have to rise up. But in the meantime, we can bring change, a positive change, by telling our elected officials we've had enough. I've had enough. I hope you've had enough. The carbon tax, I'm just through the roof. I am mad. Maid, I am mad. The mass immigration, I am mad. To all the people that are immigrated here, welcome. But some of you have already left to go home. Some of you are complaining that this is not what you were sold. Guess what? We were never, any of us in the recent 8 years, have been sold anything good from the Liberal government. Maybe pot, the legalization of pot, and the only successful thing that the government is currently running at this point is made. And it's running so well that they don't want it to be known, right? They don't. It's a shame. Name anything, you liberal supporter, comment in my channel, please. Name me something good that the Liberal Party has done that is beneficial to Canadians as a whole, not these little groups, the alphabet gang, whatever. And also, we already have enough laws in this country that protects us. We don't need additional layers for different groups. We don't. We don't need to make it more complicated. Oh, yes, folks, I am going to try and wind this down. I love to talk, like I previously said. I'm Fabio's brother, Gabio. I like to talk. And yes, and leading with that, I want you to remember something is to be kind to people out there. We don't know what battles they are going through. Be a warrior in a garden, folks, and by that, be a warrior in the garden. And that is a simple thing. Mind your own business in a way until you are needed. And when you are needed, rise up. And some of us are rising up now. So be that warrior in the garden. Be kind, be respectful, and most importantly, folks, be positive. Positive vibes. I know I'm going like this, and I look at this and I go, this is silly. But you know what? Positive vibes, folks. I'm only throwing it out there because we need more of it. You could say whatever you want to say on your religious aspect. Jesus saved, Allah Akbar, whatever the other sayings are on the other religions, whatever you practice your faith. I hope that you pray for a better world and an improved world, and that you hope the corruption goes and killing stop. I really do. I wish the wars could end. I really wish the ivory tower people who are up there that are bickering amongst themselves would walk 10 paces with a flintlock and turn around and shoot each other. But that would solve a lot of problems if the people up top that are fighting amongst themselves, excuse me, such as the leader of Hamas, who's living in Quater, well away from Gaza while it's being crushed by the Israelis. And I'm not trying to pick a side. Israeli Benjamin and the leader of Hamas should both get a flintlock, walk 10 paces, turn around, and boom, right? Then the problem would be solved. Whoever is the winner wins, right? But life isn't like that. But life is better if we get involved and start pushing back on things that we don't like. In this country, Canada is almost at the precusp, in my mind, of no longer being Canada the good. It will become Canada, the post nationalistic state of Trudeau. And that I do not want. Anyways, people, positive vibes. Thank you. This is Justice Truth. May your life be good.